What is a library? A library is escape, a refuge where superpowers take shape. In here, you can dodge distractions that make you feel afraid. You can catch your breath in any nook of the universe you choose. There are many worlds waiting here for you. Come see how a steady tortoise outruns the most boastful bunny in history. Come smell the clues with 4 friends solving mathematical and murder mysteries. Come hear how a little brown girl outsmarts mythical monsters. You can be any and all of these characters.
What you see is a space that is free to enter, free to hang out or study, mostly free to learn from, and there's something for everyone. Sound like paradise? Well, it's a library, and it can transport you to paradise or any place in the world using your imagination.
I come from a small little rural town that did not have a library. Especially in the era that I come from, where TV wasn't something that was in every household. So your books would be your escape mechanism, where you would find yourself and just get lost within the book.
For me, it was a place to escape from what I see on a daily basis. I mean, there's gangsterism, there's substance abuse, there's a lot of things that are influencing these young people, are pulling them to the negative side. And the library plays a role where you can basically come in and you can, again, escape. It's giving you knowledge, it's giving you a safe space, it's giving you an opportunity to dream and to slip into a book and to be part of a new world.
Libraries have helped me a lot because I actually started attending libraries from a very young age, where we go for events like storytelling, plays and everything. And that actually helped me to engage with a lot of people and actually learn how to communicate. Because if you cannot communicate, you actually miss out on a lot of things. So I think libraries are very important for everyone of every age group. There's something there for someone to do.
I think a library, it's more purposeful than just coming in, taking a book, sit down and read. I think the atmosphere has done quite a bit to me. It's like a breakaway of the rest of your busy life.
Now, there may not be a public library on your doorstep, but there are over 8,000 libraries of various kinds spread across South Africa. There's a library for every stage of life, from preschool through youth, working life, and your retirement years. Libraries are also very important guardians of our heritage through the stories they preserve.
Generally, when people come in, if they don't know where to go to, they will usually go to the librarians on the floor, and who will then assist them with finding sources.
Libraries have a big role to make sure that they bridge that gap between the rich and the poor. People are unemployed, so they can't afford to buy a book. But then you can come and borrow a book from the library without paying a cent.
Our libraries educate and train users on information. It also assists them with leisure reading, just to broaden their knowledge on other aspects, not only educationally or academically, but to develop them personally.
We associate libraries with browsing. You go to the shelves and you look and you decide what you want to look at, what you would like to take out. So you can go to any library in the country. If you go to your public library, you go to your university library. When you come to the National Library, it's very different. We are called a closed access library, which means that you cannot go to the shelf and browse. If I need to request a particular book, it is fetched, it is retrieved from the shelves for us. And that is what closed access is about. There are 5 legal deposit libraries in South Africa. We've got this campus of the National Library, we've got our Pretoria campus, Parliament Library, Umsunduzi, and Mangaung in the Free State. Now there's an act called the Legal Deposit Act that ensures that every book, newspaper, magazine published in South Africa is deposited to the 5 legal deposit libraries. So basically we've been a legal deposit library since 1873. We keep everything published in South Africa. So we would have the first newspaper, the first of 1800. We would have the first Cape Argus published in 1857, and we have the complete run of the Argus up to date. The Hazelwood was first published in 1916. We have the complete run of the Hazelwood. Same with Drum. This is what legal deposit is all about. We keep the material and we don't ever discard it.
In some places, like rural areas, a mobile bus library visits schools bringing stories of near and far, of the imagined, the scary and the good. Facts, figures and the drama of real life all aboard to feed curious minds.
Through these mobile libraries, we reach about 15,000 learners who would otherwise not have had access to a library service because it's mostly farm schools and these learners stay on the farms. So the schools that partakes in this program, they do have a library roster at the school, so they're expecting the bus certain days during the school time. We do have a mobile library facilitator, we call them, and EDULIS also provides training. We source those people from the community that they are in, the community that they are serving, and we basically look for matriculates that do not have work. So in some instances, we also assist with them getting the PDP license to be able to drive the bus. And then we take them on courses through EDULIS and the school library advisors in the district. They train them as librarians or as mobile library facilitators, and then they deliver the service to the schools. And we also try to reach the community, and even the parents start reading now. Some of them can't read, or they read with the learners at the school. So I think that's another impact that we have on the community, and we want the people to make use of the resources that's on the bus.
Campus libraries and public libraries are free to join, and there are many free services on offer. Books on all kinds of topics can be borrowed, but also there you will find information services like the latest newspapers, free internet, and now many have free Wi-Fi too.
2 weeks back, I had a young girl who came saying the only thing that I need is a space. She had an interview via Zoom, but because she stayed in a community without electricity, she came to this library and be able to access that Zoom call.
If you don't have data on your phone and you want to connect with somebody else, you can ask them, can you put on your mobile hotspot? And once you're connected to the hotspot, you can connect to anything. You can connect to resources. And that's what we want to do. We want to create a space where they can connect with resources through books and through a variety of programs that we run to connect with them.
I would say I also use it to avoid distraction, where I can focus, because since we are online, at rest I would be sleeping, I understand. It's very important when it comes to digital stuff, and we are doing 4th Industrial Revolution, so we are learning via Zoom and Blackboard classes. It helps us to study without no network issues.
A library is movement. Devoted words make weekly pilgrimages to faraway students. Boards transform from old to new announcements. Stairs are revamped to welcome wheels and even delicate knees. Ink is raised so fingertips can read. Braille with ease. Everything can shapeshift, a wall into an exhibit, a cubicle into an interview meeting room, a room into a testing station, a homework station into a play session.
You're allowed to sit down, use a table, read, or listen to a recording, or use a computer for a job search, homework, or a project. People also use the library as meeting spaces for their hobbies, such as poetry circles, chess clubs, and book clubs. If you cannot find what you need, speak to your librarian and start something you're interested in using the library as a base. Those with physical challenges need not hesitate to visit libraries in the community and on campuses. Many libraries are able to receive you, and some have specially designed spaces for you.
We're still looking out for more of our community members who have any kind of disability, to let them feel that we include them and they belong to something. That is why when Rachel came in, I had a chat with her. She came here, but there isn't a facility for her, and that is how it all started.
I sometimes come to the library to do research. I also do my typing here on the computers. And most of the time when I'm here, I'm writing poetry or stories because I'm part of a poetry group.
The South African Library for the Blind has set up mini libraries inside other libraries with special computers, braille books, and audiobooks.
I know that people love reading on the internet, but I believe that when you have a book in front of you, it's much, much better. As I always say to people, when I have a braille book on the table in front of me, I believe that I can get all the information in my brain because I feel it with my fingers.
In some places, library rooms are used for other purposes too. This one is now a COVID screening space.
Since last year, our library has also been utilized as a screening room because of COVID. And we do that in the morning, so we'll have our kids coming through and their screening will be done by volunteers, which is our parents, and then our teachers as well.
This library fulfills a lot of roles in the community. They rent the spaces out to do workshops, and they're also very active in having activities and also informing the youth, and especially the unemployed youth, for job and skills development opportunities. I know that the library, there were always interactive sessions with reading with school children visiting the library on a daily basis.
Many libraries have resources available online as well. And through your campus library, you can access online journals from universities in other parts of the world.
During this time, we have a lot of information resources which make information accessible. So we have a challenge of distinguishing that type of information for our users to give them relevant and important information.
This is an academic library, so we also offer research support, and that is also where we give training on finding sources, and if researchers have specific requests on specific topics, we help them with that also.
College students come, we are next to CPUT, university students come and borrow our prescribed book or textbook.
Some of the oldest printed records are also available to you for your research needs at the oldest library of all, the National Library of South Africa.
The library was established in 1818. It is the oldest library in South Africa, the oldest public institution in South Africa. It was established through a wine tax. Lord Charles Somerset was the governor at the Cape. The proceeds of the wine tax was to be used to fund the public library. It was called the South African Public Library at the time. So George Grey was the governor at the Cape from 1854 to 1860. And during that term, that period that he lived at the Cape, he decided that the people needed a fixed place where the library must be located. Because prior to that, the library was housed in different locations. And then this site where the library is currently located was chosen to house the new library, and it was opened in 1860 by Prince Alfred. So the library is many things to many people. If you have a name change, you change your name, and Home Affairs very often send people to us to find the government gazette that featured their name change, whether it's their surname or their first name. People want a front page of a newspaper for a birthday gift. And very often we find people coming in looking for very obscure things, and they didn't know they can come to a library to inquire about it.
A library is legacy. Frail voices conserved on fragile sheets, dense air preserving laughter and atrocities, clay shards guarding the ancient harmonies between fire, earth, and your roots. There is inheritance waiting here for you. Show up with eyes willing to squint to see details tinier than the dust. Show up with ears that can press against the silence to hear the unjust. Show up with steady lungs. Those before you may need to breathe through you. Show up with the spirit open enough to create new truths.
If you attend or if you go to a library, you'll find a book which is having a lot of copies somewhere else. But in archives, we are keeping unique records. That's why we keep archives for more than 100 years, and we still have those archival material for research consultation.
We've got the special collections, which I've mentioned, which are original manuscripts of various formats. We have scores, which form quite a large part of the collections, and the scores are according to various instruments, vocal scores and so forth. Then we have books, we have a reference section, and we also have audiovisual materials.
The collection that we keep here, they tell the story. We are having the collection that is called the Deba collection, which will give you historical narratives of mining. And then you can get a lot of information about the activities that happened then concerning the Witwatersrand mining. And then after, we are having the collection that talks to our activists like Kachalia.
Well, as libraries in history, of course, have played a major role, and we also learn from earlier libraries the preservation, for example, of manuscripts in clay jars and so forth. So throughout history, libraries have also always been a source of information, a source of knowledge, and where that knowledge is again being applied in future generations. And if you look at, say, for example, special collections, what you find in special collections, that of past generations, that becomes capital for future generations, and how future generations would then use it in their own way to create something new and to create new knowledge. So throughout ages, libraries have played that role. So it's sort of looking back, but also moving forward. So it's sort of going both ways.
It is an undisputed truth that many African people were sidelined from the archiving activities then. So now it is our task to ensure that we identify individuals as well as institutions that have that historical information that we believe that it is important or it is valuable for posterity. Because at the end of the day, as archives, we are not expected to only keep archives, we also need to create archives.
Other libraries, called vocational libraries, provide specific information for those in a certain career or with a special hobby or interest, like educators or photographers.
There are many other museums. It's a cultural hub. It is relevant in terms of all age, although it's mainly about research. But we also have displays that are dedicated to kids, that provides entertainment.
What we plan is that because the Western Cape Education Department is a learning organisation, we want the teachers to be up to date with what is going on in their subject field, because teachers are specialists and they have to know what is the latest in their field. For example, I read on dyslexia. The way that they managed it in a classroom a few years ago is not the same that they do now. And there are many more issues that teachers have to deal with that they hadn't been exposed to in the past. That gives them additional information that they weren't perhaps given in their training.
There are many different libraries in South Africa. If you're far from these facilities, see what they offer online, or you may have to travel to the nearest city to get access to their amazing treasures.
Our library is used as a developmental tool these days. Like, for instance, for social cohesion programs and nation-building activities. It is also used for empowering small, medium, macro enterprise as a requirement of the government.
This library has got a wide range of topics. It's, like I said before, very important for us as teachers for research purposes, not only for further studies for teachers, but within the education and the current system that we are. So you can upskill yourself and stay on par with trends and things that's changed.
As we've heard from many successful people, libraries are an important part of their ongoing development. Books, articles, music, and other material at the library are our heritage, our past. They share our own story, but also take us into the lives of other Africans and people across the ocean, helping to break down barriers and educating us about different cultures.
As a young kid going in a black community where reading was not part of our culture, but because of libraries, I had an access to books that my parents wouldn't have money to buy it, but because there was a library in my community, so I will spend my day in a library and getting access to information, getting access to a newspaper, a simple thing like a newspaper. I'm where I am proudly because of libraries. The first job I get because it was an advert that was advertised in a library.
Every time when I come out to school, I come here, and if I am bored at home, then I come here. We do art here, we do writing here, and we do playing here.
Yeah, you can play for reading and for to do games. More people should use libraries like this one.
Anyone can start a library like this amazing community library that also provides a vital aftercare program, keeping young ones safe and involved in projects.
The library offers a variety of things for the young people. We do homework assistance, we do reading and writing skills. We also do recycling and upcycling, where they come in and we use recyclable stuff. But we also take them out, and where they have to, we give them a sense of belonging, but we give them the responsibility to clean around. And we also have mentoring system, and then creative arts programs that we run. And on a Saturday we do our karate, self-defense classes with there's everything that we do is for free.
As you can see, libraries are more than a store of books. They're also community centers, providing much-needed services and activities. There is something for everyone and for every aspect of life.
A lot of schools don't have enough money for school libraries, so what we have is what we call a block loan. It is where we put together either reading material, easy reading, latest fiction that we lend to the schools, that they can also get the learners exposed to the latest and the best fiction. And then also when they're doing projects, that, say for example, on endangered animals, that we put together up to 50, 60 items that the learners can also use when they do their research.
But I still strongly believe to say libraries, and there is still a lot of things that you can learn, and in terms of like your personal growth, in terms of actually analyzing the informations, in terms of like reading skills, and in terms of getting more of the knowledge of the research input. So all of those kind of areas one can be actually developed when it's come to the use of the library.
Libraries have a bigger role to play in our communities, especially closing the digital gap. People don't have money to access Wi-Fi, so libraries offer that to the public.
A library is you. Facts and stories of people like you are plentiful. Shelves and books and browsers and pictures full of quirky spirits who wish to create this world anew. You make ink want to stay on pages a little longer. You encourage news to travel a little further. You open future doors wider. Come to the library as you.
To people who don't use the library as yet, I would say make time for the library in your day, or make time for the library in your week or in the month, because there's so many different facets of the library that you can actually discover.
When I visit these rural schools, the bus are coming and the people come to the bus and they see the books. I can't explain that in words, but when you see somebody's face lighting up because of the realization what is here, you know, I just found a gold mine. I can just encourage people to make use of the library, make use of the resources that's there.
Let me say, it is an ideological heart of knowledge. So people must really make it a point that they are visiting and utilizing the library at their vicinity.
During this pandemic, as we have COVID-19, people who cannot read, it's very hard for them, as everything, contact things have actually been decreased. So they actually have to use the internet. How can you even use the internet without knowing how to read? There are people who can read, but actually they cannot use the internet because they were not like exposed to that. They just got it now. So I think like libraries are very important in every aspect of life.
It is a space that offers so much more than just a place for you to go take books out. It is a place where you can meet people, where you can learn things. You can come for a newspaper, you can look at the Huisgenoot, the Drum magazine. You can, just a place where you can sit and just enjoy.